IF edition, Breakfast Central. We are back on the air like we never left. What's good? Lagos, Abuja, Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and those who are watching us from outside of Nigeria, we're saying welcome. It's a Friday edition of your brightest breakfast show on television. My name is Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga. It's the 5th of December. Boy, the year is moving so fast. I can remember January like it was yesterday. But we're excited to be here. So many movements happening politically as we enter the penultimate year before a general election. You know what politics means in Nigeria. If it wasn't for the blip and the uptick in the insecurity incidents, which could have seen a lot of movements, and we're still seeing lots of moves to deal with insecurity so that the politicking and preparations for 2027 will begin. You're welcome to Breakfast Central here on News Central Television, the best place to start your day. As always, we bring you the biggest stories, and we bring you insightful analysis when we bring, as the Gen Zs will say, we bring the chefs that will cook, you know, the stories and chop it up for you so that you can enjoy it in bite size or however you want to consume it. As always, we start off Breakfast Central with our wake-up conversations. And what do we have this morning?
Well, we have a lot, but first of all, we must also continue to mention the state of aquatic splendor.
Yes, the Center of Excellence.
Center of Excellence, the COCO, what do you like to call it that way? Well, Lighting Up Lagos is still ongoing, and I must say this morning, quite impressed. The lights are indeed beaming in many of the areas. It's like the guys who got the contract, they should retain them because they're actually expediting action.
Doing a good job.
Good job. Fix quickly, move, fix quick, fix move.
Talk about is maintenance culture. Because if you notice, if you're on 3rd Mainland Bridge, I mean, when you use renewable energy, solar, the panels absorb the sun. The sun. And when there's Hamatan haze, when there's dust after a long period of time, the strength diminishes. So they need to clean them maybe every few months. They need to clean the panels so that they can absorb the sunlight. That's just my only take.
Maintenance culture.
And we've also, I mean, it's a wise decision. I told you before now, the government says their diesel bill was 800 million naira a month, which was not sustainable to light up Lagos every night. So now they don't have to buy generators or diesel or maintain them. It's light from God, which you don't pay for.
That's
and
right.
It's nice and it's bright.
Yeah, it is. It's bright. Adds this finesse and a good look and feel onto the streets.
And that's
just
what I've been talking about since March.
I mean, like I said, your report is in the cooler now. We've kept it.
But they've not done anything about the drain ducts, especially around Aromire. You take out silt from the gutters and leave it there and reduce the size of the road. It makes it narrow and it's not a good look. A Center of Excellence shouldn't have, I mean, we're expecting visitors from, we're already in December.
They're already here. They're coming in from the UK.
You don't want to show them a Lagos that's filled with dirty and gutter.
And some potholes.
Yeah, and potholes.
Some potholes. Anyway, while we're talking about Lagos, let's start off wake-up conversation with a story that's starting to gather so much reaction, many reactions. Now, this is one of those stories that went viral earlier this week, and it's come up again and again and again. At first, I did think it was artificial intelligence until I took my time to also go through the videos, of course, test the videos and find out if it's an information that's got to do with generated image, but it's not. And it again touches on the growing chatter around the 2027 campaign. Now, don't forget, right before now, 2027 was hogging almost all the headlines every now and then. People were subtly campaigning, subtle manner rather, and then they were moving and throwing parties.
Overtly brazen. We saw the billboards.
Exactly. Billboards, throwing it open, and then we wondered, where is INEC? Anyway, a couple of months ago, Nigerians spotted campaign posters and billboards in Abuja, and now the buzz is about alleged distribution of campaign buses said to be linked to President Bola Tinubu. The claim spread fast online, prompting questions about whether early campaign activities were quietly on the way or not even quietly. But the presidency has come out to quickly push back, calling the reports false. insisting no such buses were shared and stressing that the administration is focused on governance, not 2027 politics, that no official resources have been deployed for any campaign efforts. But let's take a look at the press release that you find there on the screen. But before then, let's first of all show you the videos. Let's start with the videos first, and then we'll come back to this press release. Well, I'm sure your guess is as good as ours here in the studio, wondering what's really going on. Renewed Hope ambassadors in a time where there's a lot going on.
Take a look at these are brand new vehicles.
These are brand new.
Cha-cha. Utility vehicles. The buses are very expensive. The SUVs are very expensive. They're brand new. They're branded Renewed Hope ambassadors. They are packed in Eagle Square. I mean, what other political party would they even, do you think if SDP bought new buses for their campaign, they would give them permission to pack it in Eagle Square? Eagle Square belongs to Nigerians, not a political party. But this is, I mean, it's obvious that it has the buy-in of the current administration. You can't make such a huge decision and purchase this amount of vehicles, and the presidency will claim ignorance.
Benga, calm down. Benga, calm down.
Absolutely no knowledge what's going on.
Okay. Calm down. I know how you feel. Calm down. But just to mention that the cost of a Prado Jeep that you saw there goes for about 195 to 200 and something million for one. Yes, those are the latest range. So if you calculate how many you had there, that's really crazy in terms of costs. I mean, they're more than 20 you can find there. So that's over like 200 million plus times maybe let's say 20.
The cost of everything we're seeing right now goes into billions of naira.
Anyway, that's the video. You can see it right there. The highest buses as well that you can see there also goes to about 94, almost 94 million, roughly 94, 100 million thereabouts. That's where you get one. And then you have over how many pieces there. But like they say, stories like this, you need to fact check. So we're fact checking them. And let's first of all fact check and tell you what we found. But let's go straight to the presidency's response very quickly. They have put out a press release statement by the PBAT Media Center on misinformation is what they called it. They said it's a misinformation about alleged distribution of buses for 2027 campaign by President Tinubu. Now, important to state it very clearly that this movement is one sponsored by a support group known as the Renewed Hope Ambassadors, one of thousands of such organizations who have believed in the president from his campaign period till date with zero input from Mr. President himself. These groups, long before now, have embarked on several empowerment programs and initiatives over the past few years in order to deepen the acceptance of the Renewed Hope agenda and cement the legacies of President Bola Tinubu as he continues to break economic barriers through his various reforms. While the reactions trailing the movement at this point in time is fully understandable, the excitement of devoted supporters who have chosen to focus on the successes of the administration and drive sane message to the grassroots at a time when the opposition keeps amplifying the challenges while turning a blind eye to the largely positive results should not in any way be politicized, especially when they have been doing same consistently alongside other empowerment programs even before these trying times. Now take a look at the record. Let me adjust my neck and my collar. For record purposes, Nigeria's GDP once again grew by 3.98% in the last quarter, signifying a stable growth due to the ongoing reforms. Number two, inflation rate has dropped to the lowest level in years, with the latest figure standing at 16%. Number three, student loan scheme has witnessed over 700,000 beneficiaries, with applications crossing the 1 million mark within 20 months. Number four, the consumer credit scheme has seen the investment of over 30 billion naira in various credit products in order to improve the purchasing power of Nigerians and their standard of living. Number 5, foreign reserves have grown to over $46 billion, up from $34 billion inherited by President Tinubu's administration. And number 6, Nigeria's infrastructure renewal has never seen this much investment at a single point, with projects worth trillions of naira being constructed simultaneously across all the states, with exceptional ones including Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, Sokoto-Badagry Highway, Calabar-Abuja Highway, the total rehabilitation of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, world-class standard, among others. Indeed, there is no state in Nigeria today where the federal government is not working on a project. Number 7, passport reforms that have reshaped our image on the international stage have been embarked upon by this administration. Number 8, Nigeria's aviation sector has seen immense growth, oh wow, due to the various interventions and reforms introduced by the administration. And flight ticket is 300,000 naira. Let's move. These and many more have been achieved by President Bola Tinubu.
I mean, is this a report or a campaign?
Let me stop reading.
Is it, yeah.
My neck.
Is this a report or campaign statement? Because you're not, you spent very little time addressing the issues, reflecting and saying.
I slap you on the leg. You say, there's fried rice and chicken. You know, when you eat, that the leg is paining now. Talk about the leg. Why are you talking about fried rice and chicken in the kitchen?
I mean, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Okay, let's take it for the face value.
I mean, you're a communications person.
Support group.
How would you have handled this? Do you think this was handled properly?
I mean, they've said what they have to say. It's for us to investigate and find out if the presidency has any links with the support groups and what exactly is in it for the support group to spend billions of naira in purchasing those brand new vehicles. Is there anything in return apart from the president? If you look across the country, there are out-of-school kids, there are dilapidated hospitals, there are dilapidated learning centers. You would think, or if you really support the president and you want the good of Nigerians, you could put this money into other charitable use rather than buying gas guzzling, pollution. I wanted to ask a question.
You know, we're going somewhere. There's a question I thought where are the CNG buses? Were all these cars not supposed to be CNG?
No, this is for campaigning. It's a support group. The renewed hope ambassadors do not believe in renewable energy and CNG. That's what it means.
No, but the administration is pushing CNG.
But they don't.
So if you really believe in the administration's course towards success and developmental projects and sustainable and renewable energy, then you should have gotten CNG.
They don't. They believe in gas guzzling. Emission vehicles.
Let's see what Nigerians are saying. I mean, we're just, we're just shocked. But then again, let's see what Nigerians are saying after that press release. And Rega says, a government that values re-election over protecting the lives of the masses. No surprises here. It's a very normal thing for this government, he says. That's Daniel Rega. Well, let's go to another one. A Sizzle says, I like how they are all branded. Makes it easy to identify for what? He put
allegedly.
Let's move on. He said he not said allegedly.
N6.
It's turning by angry citizens when election starts. In quotes, allegedly. Mayor Damilare says, when I keep saying that I don't see any lights at the end of Nigeria's tunnel, una think say we hate this country. I swear, can't even a flashlight call. And I see darkness all around Nigeria, Tonelu.
As we speak, those students are still in the bush, in the den of the kidnappers in Niger State, the students that were kidnapped from the Catholic school. Percy Wells says this so-called statement from PBAT Media Center is nothing but a desperate attempt to pour perfume on rotten facts that Sahara reporters have already exposed. Nigerians are not fools. You cannot distribute branded Hilux vehicles and campaign logistics in broad light, then turn around to insult our intelligence by calling it the private initiative of overzealous supporters. Who is deceiving who? If truly this has nothing to do with President Bola Tinubu, why are all the materials boldly branded with its political identity, slogans, and imagery? Are we now to believe that ordinary supporters have access to millions or billions of naira in a country where citizens can barely afford a bag of rice, a nation where students are dropping out of school, hospitals are collapsing, workers' salaries have become an insult to survival, yet some unseen supporters suddenly have the financial muscle distribute campaign style buses nationwide. This explanation is weak, insulting, and unacceptable. You now list imagined achievements as if Nigerians are blind and deaf to their lived realities. You claim inflation has dropped to 16%. Go to the market and say that again with a straight face. A bag of rice that sold for 25,000 naira now sells for over 70,000 naira. Bread, gari, beans, palm oil, transport fares, rent, school fees, electricity tariff, and fuel prices have all gone through the roof. The hunger in this country is not propaganda, it's real. Our people are not surviving on statistics, they're surviving on suffering. You boast of a student loan scheme while students are still protesting hunger, unpaid allowances, skyrocketing school fees. You speak of consumer credit while Nigerians are shrinking deeper into debt to eat 1 meal a day. You speak of foreign reserves as if dollars and CBN votes are feeding the poor. You speak of massive infrastructure while communities are drowning in floods, roads are debt traps, and power remains a national embarrassment.
Winga,
Succinctly captured.
this guy went on to say about the aviation sector. Ordinary Nigerians cannot even afford local flight tickets anymore. You speak of passport reforms, while citizens still sleep at immigration offices and pay bribes to get basic documents. You speak of security while villages are being wiped out. Farmers are afraid of farm. Menga, there's no need for us to go further. I just want to use this medium on Breakfast Central. I think I've never felt this personal in a long time since we've been doing this show for a long time. But I feel this is an insult to me, to you, to every single person. That's an insult. That press release, that press statement from the media team is an insult. A big insult. It's like looking at everybody's face and telling them, shut up. You are a fool, and slapping them and telling them, go back to bed. We will do what we want to. It's an insult.
Public relations is perception management. For them, that's how they're perceiving. Maybe it's their reality.
No.
That the Nigeria they live in, that's what's going on. It's El Dorado. But for the masses of Nigerians, like you could see in the reactions, the reality is different. So, I mean, it's for you to make up your mind on.
I'm sorry, but that's an insult. That's a big insult. This morning, I'm going to say it as it is. That's an insult, and I think whoever drafted that press release should actually be fired. Enough respect, and the reason is because when there's an issue like that, you either address the situation and stop trying to look for subtle points or look for key points that you use to back up.
My biggest grouse is, apart from, of course, the exaggeration, it's also the timing and the optics and what it does to the presidency. Because this is not even the time to discuss politics of re-election, and then you see all these vehicles in Eagle Square and you're telling me the government has absolutely nothing to do with it. Like you said, it's an insult.
It's an insult. Eagle Square, it's an insult. An insult. People are locked up in the bushes, they're being kidnapped, and this is coming up. It's an insult. And in the time people are being kidnapped, you're busy brazenly. This is a brazen statement. It's not addressing the issue. You're brazenly saying, listen, we'll do it. Okay, let me ask another question. If you say that there are support groups and they're the ones who did that, did the support group also meet with the presidency to say this?
Can you not even tell support groups to hold on?
Can't you tell them?
This is not the time for politicking.
Exactly.
Can't you feel the pulse of the nation?
Thank you.
Can't you read the room?
Thank you.
Because it's going to bring about a backlash for us as a government that we're unserious. So I'm sure they have communication channels with all
this has happened way too many times.
Yeah.
And most times the presidency will say, oh, we're not involved. See, we respect the presidency and we feel that one way you can address situations like this. Remember when the billboards were everywhere? It took a long time for the presidency came out and said, oh no, we're not campaigning. And when any member or so had joined us here, when we asked that question, they said, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Let's move on to our next story, by the way. Actor and filmmaker, Ibok-Ete, one who is known to, be a very staunch supporter of the President Bola Tinubu's administration, has indeed sparked fresh conversation. And this happened on Thursday after questioning the president. Now, President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope promise, saying many Nigerians were still waiting to feel meaningful change. What's going on? But instead of sparking sympathy, his comments drew heavy backlash online, with many Nigerians reminding him of his earlier stance, urging the country to relax, because President Tinubu would fix everything. The criticism quickly trended as users accused him of shifting positions now that public frustrations are rising. But wait, let's see what he had said. Let's quickly look at what he just said. He said, "Dear President Tinubu, you have the capacity." Can I make his voice? "Dear President Tinubu, you have the capacity." Anyway, it's a long one. But let's see if we can get that message he put out there to see what he said. On that message, he was actually talking to the president, and I like.
It would be nice to also see how he used to speak in the past. His past statements praising the president.
You know, he said, "Dear President Tinubu, bandits are gradually taking over the whole country, spilling the blood of Nigerians at will without consequences. Nigerians are being kidnapped in numbers daily. Things are so expensive. The suffering is unbearable for Nigerians. Is this a renewed hope you promised Nigerians?" We got just oppose this to what we just read in that press release.
And it says, "Dear President, you have the capacity to crush these bandits and kidnappers who are killing Nigerians daily." And even posting it on social media is a slap on your face, Mr. President. Nigerians are now afraid to travel, afraid to move around. Every day, innocent lives are being wasted. If you need foreign assistance, seek it. Go hard on those criminals and crush them.
Well, how are Nigerians reacting to this tweet and statement from a staunch supporter? Well, let's get to see what Nigerians are saying. Invests Rith says, "I love this. A former loyalist, now disillusioned. He joins the people in calling out the government." Oh, you love it. Okay. Let's see another one quickly. Oh, this is a long one. "Guns are blazing." Aaron Panda says, "Aaron Panda, oh, bless your heart, Yule Doche. Another day, another dramatic open letter from the Nollywood script department. Bandits taking over the whole country. Pfft. Fake news, straight from the pit of hell. You guys are just trying to bring down the government with your doom and gloom fanfic. There are zero bandits in Nigeria. It's basically a unicorn, a myth cooked up by opposition trolls. In fact, Nigeria is the safest spot on the planet after China. Go check your stats. Or better yet, ask the tourists flocking here for the renewed hope spa retreats. Kidnappings, daily numbers, come on. That's just viral marketing for adventure tourism. And things being expensive, darling, that's called global inflation, chick." Everyone's suffering unbearably. But only in Nigeria does it come with free Gary upgrades. Investors aren't fleeing. They're queuing up for the next big Tinubu turnaround TED Talk. Stop painting this bad picture with your blood-spilling watercolors, all because of two minor scuffles that the government totally has on speed dial. By the way, those bandits are just unpaid extras from your last movie. Is this a renewed hope? Abso-freaking-lutely. Now go direct a blockbuster about it, or better yet, audition for the role of optimism's side chick. We must stand on this mandate.
You have to give
this is sarcasm.
An A in sarcasm.
This is sarcasm A++. What? Anyway, Moku says leg done they paying you on top the mandate where you stand.
He's been standing on that mandate for a long time.
These tweets, you know, when we read them, everybody, it's either you crack up or you. I thought you believed Jagaban would fix the country. Are you doubting him? Relax. He would fix everything. So says Orator Black. Anyway.
My colleague would say two things can exist at the same time.
How?
You could still be a president's loyalist and still support his agenda while still criticizing him. It doesn't mean he shifted grounds.
Yeah.
It's human nature. If you see something that is wrong,
you say something.
You say it. And I don't think he has direct communication channels with Mr. President. That's why he's putting it out there. And also for everyone working in the government to please do something about this, about the cost of living, the economy, and also the insecurity in the country. But, you know, a lot of people they think in binary terms. It's either you're for or against. You can't do both. You can't support someone and also criticize them at the same time.
Let me take some messages quickly on YouTube. Mokwe Chukwemeka greets us, says, "Good morning, News Central team. Good morning to you. This is the irony of Nigeria government. They don't even practice what they preach. What happened to buy Nigeria, grow Nigeria? All those buses are not Nigerian made." Another angle. Our governments themselves don't believe in Nigeria. That's coming from Larry Oloyede. He also goes on to say Bola Tinubu has, infrastructure, politics, and F9 in governance. Well, he's not happy. But don't forget that the tweets and the comments are not the thoughts of News Central, but they're the thoughts of our esteemed viewers who always chime in and drop a cent, or you could say $1 of comment. Not naira, maybe naira. But that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations this morning. It's a Friday. Let's bring to you our top stories on a Friday morning. This morning on Breakfast Central, Ibas, Dambazau make fresh ambassadorial lists. Shippers decry high levy at Lagos ports. We're going to have this conversation and dig really deep to find out what's going on. PENGASSAN laments poor wages and brain drain. We do hear some are moving to the abroad. NC investigates Kebbi school kidnap. We're going in on this one. And we'll bring to you, as usual, the front pages of the newspapers. You can chime in, join in, call, and be part of it. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues in a moment. Welcome back. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, has issued a stark warning. Nigeria is on the brink of a massive brain drain in its oil and gas industry. Why? Low wages, economic instability, and a global demand for skilled professionals are pushing our best minds to greener pastures. President of PENGASSAN, Festus Osifo, make the remarks while briefing journalists at the conclusion of the union's National Executive Council meeting on Thursday in Abuja.
He noted that the sector faces pressures from naira devaluation and inflation, stressing that oil and gas skills remain globally competitive. A drilling engineer in Nigeria does the same job as the one in the United States or Abu Dhabi, he said. Osifo urged the union to take steps to address the wage gap in order to retain talent within the country.
Today, a lot of companies we have achieved successes, but there are still few that we are still discussing their CBAs, that we are not yet there. We wish to use this opportunity to call on these companies that are still foot dragging, that are still holding back, even with the massive devaluation that has occurred in our country, that still don't want to fix the remuneration of our members. We are calling on them to do the needful. Because for us in PENGASSAN, we will push without holding back. We will push using everything in our arsenal to ensure that the needful is done. The government, both at the federal, at the state, and at the local level, should do everything possible to curb this menace. We have heard severally when they tell us that they know the sponsors of these terrorists. The question is that, where are the sponsors? Why haven't you named these sponsors? Why haven't you exposed these sponsors? Why haven't you go after them? Take them to the lockout and get them convicted to serve as deterrents to others.
Join us this morning for this discussion is National Industrial Relations Officer of PENGASSAN, Dr. Ifeanyi Eze. One welcome to you and good morning, Dr. Eze.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, my question to you, Dr. Eze, is what's the state of play in the Nigerian oil and gas sector? How bad is the situation as we speak? And are we already seeing an exodus of talent, or is it a warning of what's to come?
Well, Nigerians to that gradually this is how it's forming also. I do also actually the history is basically we know that a lot of men are living in the country in oil and gas, especially for those companies that have refused to up the payments of their actually,
Unfortunately, we seem to have a bad network connectivity issue there with our guest. Let's try and see if we can possibly work things out so we can have him here. It's a very important conversation to have, and it's one that I would really love to have with him. We'll go on a quick break. We'll ask you to please stay with us. When we come back, we'll try as much as possible to delve back into the conversation in a moment. Breakfast Central continues. Welcome back. Well, we're trying to connect still with our guests, and hopefully we're able to do so. Looking at the conversation regarding the mass exodus and a warning that has been put forth by PENGASSAN, losing engineers to the international community due to reasons best known to them. They've highlighted poor remuneration and the likes as part of the reasons you would find engineers who are leaving the shores. Remember, we had a similar incidents with the medical sector as well.
Basically every field in Nigeria because of better remuneration. But let's give it one more attempt. We have Dr. Ifeanyi Eze, the National Industrial Relations Officer of PENGASSAN, joining us this morning. Dr. Eze, my first question to you was, how bad is the situation? What's the state of play? Are we witnessing an exodus already, or is it something that is going to happen? Can you give us an update on the current situation with regards skilled professionals in your sector?
Is coming gradual, and I tried to reference it to what on the health sector when we had the disparity wider between what's different professionals, because there are highly professionalized systems and people working with these services like the medical doctors. So when the remuneration, the gap is so wide, people tend to move. Like now, they are moving. Gradually, they are moving, especially for those companies that have refused to actually adjust the salaries of their workers appropriately.
Well, the president of PENGASSAN, Comrade Festus Osifo, said a drilling engineer that does the same job in the US or Abu Dhabi would get a higher remuneration. Why are we paying them a fraction of what's obtainable globally? Using this as an example, why is the situation different here in Nigeria for remuneration of talent?
Well, like every country per se, they pay based on their what is obtainable locally. Yes, the pay difference is, the gap is enormous, For instance, when you're paying somebody, a highly professionalized person, like a drilling engineer, you're paying him like 10% of what he can get, not even Abu Dhabi. Gabon here, when you go to Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, you see them earning like a 400, 500, 600% higher than somebody working down in Nigeria here for some companies. So there is a tendency that they move. I know that especially in the services where you even need professionals, a lot of people, they've moved within the West African countries here, those that just found oil and they pay better. So the warning the president is giving now, yesterday, when we had the press conference, is that these companies should actually adjust their remuneration to avoid that movement so that we don't end up being like hospitals. As of today, ask most of the federal hospitals, they are looking for doctors to do residencies. They are moving. Even when they get the job, some of them within a year, too, they leave. So we don't want that to happen in oil and gas in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Eze, what is PENGASSAN doing to address this situation? And what is PENGASSAN expecting the government to do? We do understand that there's a review, we've asked for a review of wages and so on and so forth, but PENGASSAN in itself, what are you doing? What are the pointers you've put together to address this issue?
Part of what we are doing is like we did the press conference yesterday, that's one, and we've been engaging these companies individually. Like I mentioned, companies that are actually responding. You know that oil and gas business is dollarized and it takes international shape, you know. For instance, down in Nigeria here, we sell our goods in dollars and they pay workers in naira. And they're trying to reduce it to the level of maybe minimum wage or what people earn in Nigeria. They're trying to equate it that way, but it doesn't work that way. Because these people, we have some experts too that come to work from outside in Nigeria, and are well paid. You see somebody doing the same job with a Nigerian back to back. You do the same job like you are a drilling engineer. You take over from the experts. When I mean expert, I mean within the Asian countries, and the person is earning, like I mentioned before. You're earning just like about 10 or 20 or 30% of what the expert is earning. So those are the things we are fighting against. And of course, you know, not too long ago, you know what happened when some oil and gas workers tried to join union, and the treatment they got that actually caused to use one of our tools, and the nation, including the masses, who do not understand the nitty-gritty of oil and gas operation, didn't understand what was going on. But like we said, we will engage these companies and we will use any of our tools available to us that will make them understand that they make their gain, they make their money in dollars, and they should be able to, as much as is permissible, do the needful for the workers to see how they can match up between them and the experts that come here to work, and even when they live outside the country, so that all of them leave.
Now, Doctor, yes.
I mean, I just wanted to follow up on that. I mean, I agree with you that it doesn't really look good when you have expatriates coming and Nigerians who know this job basically are earning less. But that particular issue, I want to ask, and I hope you believe that didn't start today. I mean, I do know of a similar instance where this has been in action for quite a long time, where expatriates earn bigger than those who are here who end up doing the same job. But do you think this is an internal problem, an indigenous problem, where a Nigerian or Nigeria is trying to ensure that they can short pay Nigerians and save more money, but don't do that to the expatriates, the international staff, if you put it that way? So do you think it's an indigenous problem? Therefore, the government can't really do anything until the companies have to solve it themselves? Dr. Eze?
Yeah, what I will tell you this morning is that our institutions are weak. They are. The regulators, the people that are meant to actually monitor these things and make sure they're implemented, somehow they are lagging behind. Let me put it that way. And for for us, we've been in union for some time now, and we knew when most of these companies, we all fought for it to be nationalized, for Nigerians to take most of these companies and run them. And I will tell you of a truth as of today that once this gets into the hand of Nigerians, there is problem. They pay, even as of today, most of the companies we're having problem with are the companies owned by Nigerians, run by Nigerians. You know, at times we wonder, for instance, we have a production company, have two production companies. Those that have an international touch tend to pay better, but they all produce. So you'd be wondering. And then again, when you want to agitate or when workers want to ask, why is it like this? They will come hard on them because they know they can use all the institutions within the country to suppress the workers. Yes, it's been there for quite some time, but it's increased these days, you know, like I know in those days when we started, some of us refused to take a job outside the country. Even as a doctor then, I had a job in US. But when I looked at the difference between what I'm receiving here, you know, of course, by then you convert it to dollars and you say, no, there is no need living. But it can't happen there because the disparity is alarming. And that's what we are calling the government, we are calling the institutions responsible for monitoring all this to look into it and make sure that the difference between Nigerians and the expatriates shouldn't be that wide. Yeah, I know. Considering too that they pay their flights, they pay their accommodation. At the end of the day, you discover that what they're even paying their Nigerian counterpart can just be for their accommodation and the flights. They pay for them. They still come and they do that. And when you talk and they refer you to one job, but they know that these jobs are different. They are not the same. The risks associated with it, the environment, and the skill is not what you just pick off a cutter along the road. So that's what we are saying about. We are engaging these companies, and we hope they should and we do the needful soon.
Dr. Eze, if you look at the Nigerian oil and gas sector, it's, when they put up adverts, it's one of the most sought after industries that Nigerians want to work in. And when you talk about this brain drain, a lot of people might be wondering what's really going on here, because they still feel, you know, people in this sector and well more than ordinary Nigerians in other sectors. My question to you is, are there effects to the oil and gas industry if this brain drain is not checked? What will be some of the resultant effects on the industry on this?
Yeah, if at the end of the day the highly skilled workers leave, if you recruit new people, yes, you're right. People want to come to oil and gas because on the average they earn better than maybe public service and so on and so forth. But then the job too, they're different. The environment, the risk, like I mentioned earlier, they are not the same. But if you leave the highly skilled workers who are already working, that should actually train the ones you want to employ to leave. By the time those ones you've employed don't know what to do or the nitty-gritty or not well trained, you know, you can make a mistake. For instance, if you are on a drilling rig and you're not well trained, you blow up the rig. And these are the rigs that can cost as much as $400-500 million. So those are the risks you don't want to take. And you talk about pollution too, and you talk about people dying. So a little mistake can result to catastrophic consequence. So that is what we are saying, that the regulators, the Nigerian government, should make sure that these people do what is right within the industry. You know, every industry, they have their own way of managing their staffs.
And finally, from a public relations perspective, what do you say to Nigerians that feel most labor unions, of course, the definition of a union is to look after the welfare and well-being of your own members. It's they say your unions are very selfish, and you look and most of the things you fight for is for your own pocket without considering the cost to Nigerians in general and how the greater good. How do you respond to that? And case in point was this last dispute Nupeng and PENGASSAN had with the Dangote refinery.
You're quite correct. You see, the information the public have as regards to unionism is very poor. You know, the point is that to even start with, do you know that I will tell you that more than 70 to 80% of Nigerians today, they don't know the difference between Nupeng and PENGASSAN. They treat them in one swoop. They don't know the difference between TUC and NLC. That is even the slightest you can talk about. But then now let's look at it this way. What is the major function of union? Is to make sure that the workers, their members, don't lose their jobs, even if they will do not unfairly, and their welfare taken care of. That is their number one function. Just like we said that the number one function of government is security and life of citizens. That's the number one function of law movement. But then we look when you look at the place of labor, as a united labor we have today, there are less than maybe 3-4% of the population. And in the past, when there is labor pronounces that is going to have a strike, for instance, you see everybody coming to the street, market man, where the car drivers, the taxi drivers, all the people that support them. But in the recent time, you discover that we don't get that support. So if you don't get that support, you wouldn't want to put yourself in harm's way, because what the government will do is that because they know you don't have that support, or people are not numerous enough to withstand them, they will go after the labor leaders or go after labor. So it's not that we are selfish, we are taking care of ourselves alone. No, we don't. Because we know that there are some decisions government has made in the recent past, and we came up and criticized. I remember the 5%. You know, we did a press conference on that when government wanted to put 5% tax on this in petroleum product. We did that. So that's an example of what we've been doing. But then the public should know that our major function is to look after our workers. Then we can extend it to the public. And I urge the populace, the Nigerian citizens, that when we come out to say, no, government, this policy is not correct, they should come and support us. So we have backing. We have the strength to withstand any obnoxious law or policy from government.
All right. I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Ifeanyi, National Industrial Relations Officer for PENGASSAN. Thanks for your time and clearing the air on this issue. We look forward to talk to you again. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you too.
All right. Let's move away from that conversation and tell you that families traumatized, yes they are, a student's narrow escape, and these are the shattering human stories behind the latest school abduction in Nigeria's northwest. Now in an exclusive report from Kebbi State, our team investigates the night armed bandits stormed the government girls secondary school in Maga, abducting 26 students. Now, this report uncovers a critical and disturbing detail that preceded the attack: the unexplained withdrawal of soldiers stationed to protect the school. We hear directly from the families living with the loss, and we ask the urgent unanswered questions at the heart of this tragedy. Well, not myself or Winga, but this is a special report put together by our correspondent, Jamil. Take a look.
Kawo ne wanga makaranta ne yaranmu ne an ka ce an dauke su ranar Lahadi da daddare.
This is Umarialmu. His daughter is one of the 26 girls taken from the hostels at the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. According to multiple accounts from the community and schools officials, soldiers stationed at the school for its protection left. They withdrew from their post. Minutes later, the bandits arrived.
Da aka ji raɗe-raɗi mai girma gwamna ya yi duka abin da ya kamata a yi, domin ya tabbatar da sai da ya tura sojoji da 'yan sanda da 'yan banga a tsare makarantar. Abin da ya faru har ya sa wannan ta kasance da muke gani shine lapses da aka samu shine 2 hours kahin abin ya faru. Sojoji wani dalili ya sa sun ba makarantar kahin su dawo mutanen nan suka shiga.
The first line of defense was Hassan, the school's head of security and a teacher. He was executed in his own home, in front of his wife, Amina. She describes his final moments, a plea for prayer before the shot.
Kuma da suka shigo sai da suka tambaye shi, kai ne Malam Hassan? Ya ce ni ne Malam. To mun zo ne mu kashe ka, sai to ku bari ya sauko. Bisa gado sai ya sauko ya tashi. Halbe shi. Ko da na duba ya faɗi, jini na ta zuba.
His son, Bashir, his voice shattering with grief, described the pain of losing a father.
Wannan harin ya shahiye mu sosai ainun, wanda sanadiyar shi na rasa mahaifina. Wanda shi kadai ne ya rage mana a matsayin mahaifi. To shi ɗaya ya rage mana wanda ya ka kira mu ya ce mana mai kaza mu fa kaza, mai kaza mu ba kaza. Wanda ko shi ɗaya ina ganin kamar memory ne wanda mutum zai tuna. Yau an waye gari ba wanda zai kira ka.
With the security overrun, the bandits moved to the hostels. Safia Janaidu, an SS2 student who dreams of being a doctor, hid in a store. She escaped, but her sister and the relatives were not so lucky.
Muna ganin kamar ba su gani ba sai mun ka shige runtuli mun ka ɓoye. Ciki na rawa ya fara yi na makarkata. Ina addu'o'i.
I don't even know the words to describe the agony we all went through and the trauma we went through. Imagine girls' schools. Most of these girls are even underage. You just try to imagine the situation that these girls went through.
Here in Nigeria's northwest, schools are becoming soft targets. And for the girl child, education is becoming a perilous gamble. This single attack in Kebbi echoes a terrifying pattern. It triggered a drastic federal response: the immediate shutdown of select federal unity colleges, a nationwide lockdown on learning, born from local terror. But the question from MAGA hangs in the air. In Kebbi State for News Central, I am Jamil Mabai.
Very sad one there. Incisive report by a man, Jamil. The principal talking there, the girl whose sister was kidnapped, and the young man who lost his father in the middle of the altercation. The big question still hangs in the balance. Where were the soldiers? Who gave the order for them to leave?
That's the million-dollar question.
That's the million-dollar question. Until today, we're hoping that the new Minister of Defense will be able to answer. But my thought would have been that since the Minister of Defense couldn't answer to that question, possibly the Minister for State of Defense should have been able to dig deep by now.
Since he was minister,
since he was still minister, yeah, and try and get.
But I guess we'll get to that some other time. And like you said, these are very germane questions that Nigerians are asking. But let's move on to other issues. The Shippers Council. Sorry, I'll take that again. The Shippers Association of Lagos State is raising the alarm over what it calls crippling operational hurdles, arbitrary stoppages of containers, multiple levies, illegal checkpoints, and a bureaucracy so bloated it punishes compliance. According to the association, these practices are not only stifling trade, but actively driving shippers out of business. SELS President Nicodemus Odolo made the observation known during the 2025 Shippers Day celebration held in Lagos this week.
Well, let's tell you that he warned that the worsening operational climate is discouraging Nigerians from participating in import and export activities, adding that the number of active shippers continue to decline due to the increasingly hostile business environment. Let's dig deep into this conversation as we bring on board investment banker and public affairs analyst Naimeka Obiareri, who joins us live via video conference. Thank you so much for being here. Coincidentally, just yesterday, we did have a guest in the studio during the newspaper review. And we had this conversation just a little bit about how the import and export business is highly impacted on the fact that we need more seaports to become operational. And I don't know if you're aware of what happened at an event in Lagos State where the governor wasn't too happy when the mention was indeed brought to the fore that other seaports should be active as regards to having that of Lagos State. But then again, here comes this big one. So how damaging are these arbitrary stoppages, taxing, levies, especially to Nigeria's trade competitiveness? Because we're starting to see every sector is being taxed here and there.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. Basically, this is not new. We've always mentioned the fact that businesses and ease of doing business in Nigeria across practically all the sectors is not there. And there's nothing new that the Shippers Council have said. We know that one of the reasons why most Nigerians move their goods to Togo, to Benin Republic, and to other neighboring ports is because of the issue of inefficiencies that we have in Nigeria. I'll give you an example. Look at Singapore. As tiny as Singapore is, Singapore generates almost $39 billion from the maritime industry. And we know that 80% of global movement of goods and services goes through the seaports, through marine. And we've always pleaded. We came up with this single window data clearing system, the Odogo system, and whatever. Up till now, we have not implemented it. The major problem is not just government. The major problem is every one of us. The average civil servants, the average public servants in Nigeria makes policies or interprets policies from that narrow extortionist window, that narrow toll gate mentality. Anything that they can do to create bottlenecks, to extort money from the private sector or those doing operation or operative through the regulatory agencies is what we have. It's a mental thing. It's a mental siege, and which each and every one of us must get out of. So how do we solve this problem? If you look at the ACTFA window, Nigeria is one country that can actually benefit, overhauling our maritime system, overhauling our ship system, overhauling our port system. The nearest transshipment port to West Africa is in Rotterdam. We can actually become a transshipment port from Lagos to Port Harcourt to Onne, to the rest of West Africa. All the other West African countries need to come to us to clear their goods and move it through a rail system that Nigeria can champion to interconnect the rest of Sub-Saharan Africa. But we are not looking at it from that angle. You see situations where people want to export their goods. Along the road, you will see many extortionist checkpoints. Tell me, why will somebody that wants to move his goods from Owerri, maybe my 30-ton maggot production that I want to ship to Canada, that has nothing, that will generate almost about $10 million in the Nigerian economy. Why will I need to collect custom clearance for me to move the goods from Owerri all the way to Apapa Port or to an airport or to other places? So the challenge here is not just government, it's our mentality. A majority of all, especially those in the public sector, sees our positions, sees us as a toll gate where we will extort money and then create chaos. And if we don't solve this problem, most of the things that we pray to get, we'll lose it. Let me tell you, the Nigerians don't even understand the depth of the rot. The Togo port, the Benin port are only existing because of goods that the orders from Nigeria. And that is the truth. Most of the yam that they ship through Benin Republic, most of the yam they ship through Togo, most of the yam they ship through Ghanaian airports are from Nigeria. But they will take it there, label it, and package it, and they will ship it out. And Nigeria will be losing so much money because of these issues of inefficiencies, these issues of corruption, these issues of tardiness, these issues of toll gate mentality by majority of us in the public sector. And we need to get out of this. Okay. It's a mental stage that we must eliminate.
Now, the Nigerian authorities are definitely not aware. They're definitely aware of some of these issues you raised, issues of corruption and inefficiency. And recently, as a result of that, the Nigerian Customs Service just introduced what they called a groundbreaking solution, BODOGU, also known as the Unified Customs Management Systems, designed to simplify trade, speed up clearance and importation, to make importation more transparent. Have you interacted with this system, and what's your assessment? How much of a difference does it make? Does it move the needle positively in any way?
The efficiency of the system can only translate in the efficiency of clearing at the ports and even at the airports. The question is, how long does it take to clear an average 40-foot container, 30-foot, 20-foot container from Nigeria, any of Nigerian seaports, or from any of our international air gateways? That should answer the question whether the Odogu digital platform is efficient or not. We know that in other climes, from Benin Republic to Togo to Ghana, even to South Africa, it takes an average of 10 days, 7-10 days, even some less, to clear your container. In Nigeria, sometimes it lingers into months. By the special grace of God, I am involved in a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors. We bring in massive goods, not just finished goods. We must bring in equipment and machineries, tractors, bulldozers, processing plants, that which we want to deploy to catalyze productivity in Nigeria and to help Mr. President to achieve his dream of actualizing a $1 trillion economy in the next 5 years. But the question we should be asking is, practically, ask those who import goods into Nigeria, how long does it take to clear those goods on an average number of days? Ask those who have attempted to export goods out of Nigeria. And do you know the interesting thing? By the special grace of God, our friends have set up an excellent quality assurance center in Ogun, and they are moving another one to Owerri by Simon Bakwekago Airport. That will enable us to do all our certification. But when you have gotten all these things, what of the bottlenecks? I'll give you an example. From Mombasa, Kenya, to the nearest airport in Europe is about 7,300 kilometers. From Owerri Airport, from Lagos Airport, from Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, to any of the ports in entry gates in Europe, it's about 6,000 kilometers. So it's actually shorter to move goods. But do you know that Kenya exports nothing less than $3.9 billion worth of vegetables, perishables? And there is a law. If any perishable goods stays more than 24-48 hours in any of the exit ports in Kenya, all those who worked shifts at that particular period when that delay was happening will lose their job. We don't have such consequential laws in Nigeria. People get away with all manner of madness. I know all of us are always ready to hold government accountable, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that government is us. The president, the minister, they are not omnipresent. People within the subunit must be able to take actions, must be able to stamp out indiscipline, stamp out corruption from the system. But of course, in Nigeria, like I've mentioned, it's a toll gate mentality. Even those at the entry points, the junior staff, are actually being mandated and delegated by the senior ones to help them extort money and render settlements. It's the same thing we see every day along the roads. If you are to travel now from Shagamu to Enugu or to Onitsha, you will count nothing less than 56 to 100 toll gates. And these are toll gates deliberately established to extort money. Nigeria is the only place in the whole wide world where customs establish or immigration established toll gates along the hinterland. The customs are supposed to be at the exit and entry point. Go to any other developed or developing economies, from Singapore to the US to Canada to UK to Indonesia to Brazil. You can drive 2,000 kilometers, you will never see any customs person on the hinterland. The only people you can see are things like National Guard or people that are along the road to provide security and everything for those who are traveling. So it's a mental thing that the majority of us, we should come to a point where each and every one of us should be asking ourselves, what are our positive contributions towards the development of Nigeria, towards enhancing of productivity? And I can tell you, there are still very few good-spirited, disciplined, patriotic public servants, but there are very few. They are less than 1%, and this is where the problem lies.
Okay, all right, Mr. Murray, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the impact of this, especially on the economy. Now that we are indeed battling with having some form of economic stability, even though many have mentioned, well, especially the presidents have mentioned about the GDP. But let's go on a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our guest is Dr. Naimeka Biarari, who's still here with us. We're looking at the taxation, especially concerning the Shippers Association here in Nigeria. There have been calls for a review, but let's go back to the conversation. Can you actually help us in terms of quantifying the economic impacts that this will have? How much does it cost a shipper, especially in time and also in money, to navigate these hurdles at the Lagos ports? Just recently, I had read through some of the comments, especially, let me start off with the one that was posted up by the special assistant to the Lagos State Governor, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. I'm talking about Mr. Adekoya Hassan, where he had made a very strong comment rejecting the NPA's decision to actually shift operational focus from Lagos ports and moving it to Warri Port Complex. He wasn't happy with that. And the comments that followed on that was that, oh, can you see the amount, the money that's been spent just to do this? So I want you to touch on that. Why would a governor of a state not be happy with the fact that the NPA wants to make it easier for people?
Decongest.
You know, and decongest as much as possible. And then the cost, the implication, what it will mean for the economy.
What we expect the governor to do is to, if we have governors who are very proactive, is to firstly tackle the issues of the extortions, the levies. You know the interesting thing, even after the delays at the port and the truckers are bringing out their containers from Apapa, even before the exit out of Lagos state, you see a lot of local government levies, people stopping the trucks and everything to collect money. So how efficient has the governor made it for truckers to move their containers from the port, exit Lagos State without being extorted along the path by different levy toll gates put in place by governments, local government, and other agencies? That is a question for us. You know, we talk about the ease of doing business. Why are investors not coming? I can tell you this. There is no investor that will take his investment to Afghanistan or to Yemen, no matter how much trips the Afghanistan or Yemeni president makes to go and pitch for investors, because the whole world already know that these are some of the most terrorized, most corrupt entities in Nigeria. But I can tell you that the average investor will not bat an eyelid to move their investment to Canada or to Singapore, because the environment is very safe, it's very clean, and you don't have such kind of criminal multiple taxation. Like I told you, I'll give an example. We have a massive processing plant in the southeast. We decided to, I always tell this ugly story, to go to Benue State to bring a container, a truckload of fresh tomatoes that we are going to process into tomato powder. The truck was a truck that we bought practically brand new. We moved the truck. The truck left Benue State laden with baskets of tomatoes. Before he got to Onitsha, that was in Soka, that was when the toll gate started. From that point till he got to Nsukka, he saw almost about. In fact, in the dead of the night, the driver had practically exhausted all the money that he had with him. He was trying to dodge one of the criminal toll gates, and they ran into a ditch and lost his axle. That was how we lost the truck. We lost tomato. We couldn't even find access to transship the tomato. All those investments were wasted because of the same issues we talk about in Nigeria. So Nigeria is a country that is ripe to have at least nothing less than 20 seaports. We are supposed to have a seaport in Orashi, a seaport at Ndoke, a seaport in Cross River State, a seaport in Akwa Ibom. Practically all the littoral states, all the states that have coastal waters, even those that have rivers inside it. In Brazil, there is an inland port that is almost about 1,400 kilometers away from the Brazilian Atlantic coast. They do these things because they know that shipping and river transportation is the best way to transport and make things more efficient and to build up economy. If Nigerian ports have been as efficient as it's supposed to be, Nigeria should be the transshipment hub for the rest of West Africa. If we are very efficient as supposed to be, Togo, Benin will close their ports. But the problem is, like I've always said it here, and we have this tunnel mentality, crab mentality. We want to generate the revenue, we want to grab the revenue, but we don't want to do anything that will enable us to increase the size of the cake. So why would the governor be angry that is good? In fact, I will expect the governor to even, go out of his way to make his roll for those who have created the problems in his state and not complaining without taking any actions. And that is the general problem. Have we not been complaining in Nigeria about the issue of, one IGP will come up and say, hey, we have ordered police people to stay away from the streets, from the roads. The next week, they are there. We've ordered policemen to be withdrawn from VIPs. Go around, they are still going around with VIPs. There must be consequences for ugly actions if we are supposed to build a truly progressive and productive economy. But the problem here we have is that we have lawlessness, we have anarchy, there are no consequences for actions people have taken, both in the private and so it's an active crime scene where there are no consequences for misbehaviors, for unprofessionalism, and for every other manner of ills in the society.
Now, Dr. Obiore, I want to follow up on the point you made that Nigeria should have no less than 20 ports, given our vast coastline. I mean, it's a no-brainer that these are low-hanging fruits. Nigeria has approximately a coastline. The southern coast of Nigeria is 853 kilometers. So why do we still have these issues of port congestion? And then people in the east have to go all the way to Lagos to ship their goods, which adds to the cost. So why are we not looking at some of these low-hanging fruits? And we keep singing the song of, diversifying, looking for foreign investment, when what we're looking for in Sokoto, as they say, is inside Sokoto.
It's something. We're even talking about the coastal waterways. God has blessed us with two massive rivers, River Niger and River Benue. Do you know that even the Brazilian river, the Amazon River that was dredged 1,400 kilometers into the hinterland, is not even as deep or as wide as the Niger? When Yar'Adua was president, Yar'Adua awarded a contract of about 39 billion to dredge all the way from the Escraft Roads, passing Warri or Arakoko, all the way through Onitsha to Jeba. Till today, we've not been able to execute that contract. How many years since the demise of that good man, President Yar'Adua? If Nigeria, see, most of the flooding that we have in Nigeria today are caused because we have refused to dredge, we have refused to desilt, and we have refused to create good waterways for water and flood.
Inland waterways, yes.
Yes, if we are very, very serious, Nigeria should have dredged, enlarged the coastlines, do shoreline protection, all the way from Niger State, all the way from the Escravos to Niger State. By now, we should have dredged from the Port Harcourt coast through Ndoke, all the way to Azumini. By now, we will have dredged all the way from from Port Harcourt through Orashi, all the way to Anambra State. This is what and let me tell you, I have an agro park in a place called Ogbaru in Anambra State. Ogbaru is a heaven that past governors and presidents have not yet tapped into. I tell you, I kid you not. If I'm the governor of Anambra State, from that acts, that local government acts alone, I can generate nothing less than $5 to $10 billion from the agro value chain and processing. All I see people doing, I went through about the town. People are dredging, packing sand. There's no any attempt to do shoreline protection, to deepen the water, to desilt it and create riverine transport that can enable producers of goods and services, agro-commodities, to bring in equipments and to move out, process this thing. You go to communities, you see wealth being wasted. Today, what we are doing in our own private angle is to see how we can take in tractors. But you know the unfortunate thing, most of our farmlands in those areas during this gets flooded. And that is why some of us are being discouraged from investing more in the agri sector in that fertile region. But we expect the governors and the presidency and those in charge of NIWA to understand the importance of river transportation, creating and growing the maritime sector. See, the maritime sector of Nigeria can actually generate nothing less than $27-30 billion annually. We always talk about the blue economy, we mount it, but there are no concerted, structured work plan to execute all the things that we need to do tactically to ensure that we create wealth using that sector. All that we do there are no integration. We see people just talk. The policymakers and those who are supposed to execute it are not doing anything. If you take a visit to Obaru and drive around Obaru, you will cry for this country. Most of the farmlands are over flooded. And this is a place that I know. Look at Israel. Look at Saudi Arabia. Go and check how Saudi Arabia had actually created water pathways. Go to Egypt. The only source of water for Egypt is River Nile. Egypt has 95% desert. Yet go and see how they have tried as much as possible to dredge the Nile, to channel water from the Nile into the hinterlands. Go and see the kind of massive engineering works that are taking place there. But in Nigeria, we are not thinking. During the season, we will give our alerts. Oh, there's going to be flooding. But we know where there is flooding. Flooding is not because it wants to flood. It's not because they open dam. If we have created the real waterways, they dredged all our major rivers, they sealed them, do line shoreline embankments, flooding will be a thing of past in Nigeria.
Okay, just to finalize this conversation, what do you make of Nigeria's blue economy, especially since this current administration? It seems like the blue economy, what it was planned, what was pretended, better still, let me just make it easier. What the plan was for the blue economy is not taking shape yet. I'll give you an instance. Just 2 years ago, it was highlighted during the administration that the blue economy will be able to bring in a lot of money in adding to Nigeria or the economy's GDP. But as we speak, you've also laid emphasis on some of the things that the country or the economy is missing. Do you think we're doing enough? And secondly, what do you think can be done looking at Nigeria's current state of, in quotes, the blue economy?
We are not scratching the surface. Like I mentioned to you clearly, I sit down here and I see a $27-39 billion annual revenue opportunities being missed because of lack of coordination between the federal, states, and local governments. There must be coordination between the three key arms of government supported by the legislative arms for us to be able to sweat wealth in the maritime sector. Like I mentioned to you, it requires a lot of investments. It requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of creativity, a lot of passion, a lot of patriotism. The problem we have is that we end up putting round pegs in square holes. People who just see office they are occupying as just opportunity for them to enjoy the perks of office, make as much money as they can make, and then exit with the government at the end of the tenure. There are no laid down KPIs. Okay, this month, this is what we're going to do. This third month, this is what we're going to achieve. 6 months, this is our achievement. 1 year. There must be objective parameters set weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually to measure performances and to know those that will give way and those that should come in. In Nigeria, we don't have such KPIs in the MDAs. People just roll in and roll out. No impact, no nothing. I'll give you an example. Akinwumi Adesina was the Minister for Agriculture in Nigeria. Before Akinwumi came in as the minister, we used to have this unending criminal fertilizer racketeering. That sector was like a mess. Initially, he was appointed as a minister, not to agree. The man rejected the appointment and flew back to the US. Jonathan had to go and beg him to bring him back and handed over that portfolio that he wanted to, because he was very passionate about agriculture. And in 16 months, Dr. Akim Adesina destroyed criminal, corrupt cartel that had been exist for 16 years. And of course, you could see his e-wallet system that he created. The real farmers started getting fertilizer, and you could see the growth, percentage by percentage, month by month, on that sector. And I wasn't surprised after his tenure, he was appointed the president of AFDB, and he delivered in 10 years. Here was a man, round peg in round hole, passionate, honest, creative, and patriotic. 80% of those in the ministries and the parallel agencies as leaders and heads and ministers have no business being there. That's the fact, both at the state and local government level and federal level. But you see, in Nigeria, we see politics as avenue to share spoils to those who believe that have shouted so much for us, genuflected so much for us, expected for us, and cried. Nigeria is not short of the requisite manpower, technical skills, knowledge, and patriotic citizens in the mood of Desa Mombakwe, in the mood of Jokonde, in the mood of Ahmadu Bello, in the mood of Obafemi Awolowo, in the mood of the great man, Dr. Michael Ihanu Korobara. We have sound minds, technically savvy, competent, creative, honest people that can move this country from the point where we are. So let me tell you, if we had lived up to our expectations in 1960, by now we would be a $2.7 trillion economy. Nigeria is supposed to be among the top 5, top 10 biggest economies. We have everything God has naturally endowed us and the human capital. But the problem we have is that we place politics, we place prebendalism over competencies, over capacity. Like I tell you, I sit down here, look at, we're having flooding from Anambra to other places. Look at China. China used to have the same issue. China embarked on a massive bamboo plantation development. Bamboo is one plant that can help you checkmate erosion, and it can also sequester carbon dioxide and gives you carbon credit. Today, from 7 million hectares of bamboo plantation, China generates over $74 billion annually. And China arable land mass is about 120 million hectares. Nigeria arable land mass is 64 million hectares. Nigeria can actually do half of what China has done. Use the same bamboo plantations to checkmate erosion and to create massive. We can get nothing less than $30-40 billion from bamboo plantation development across these areas. Some of us in the private sector, we are doing it in areas like Ibok-Ete and Abia State. We are doing it massively. But those in government are supposed to be the ones thinking about this, working with the private sector. But I can tell you, they are not even thinking, they're not even studying, they don't even know what's happening around the world. And that is the most unfortunate thing that we have in Nigeria today.
All right. I'm sure this is a conversation we're looking to have. We're going to have a special on this, Dr. Nnameka Obiariri, and would like to crave your indulgence that you join us live in the studio. We want to assess the Nigeria's blue economy. That will be a special here on News Central's Breakfast Central. So we've extended a warm invitation to you, and we know that you will not reject it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's move on now to our next story. President Bola Tinubu has submitted a fresh list, of non-career ambassadorial nominees to the Senate. Additional nominees include former River State Sole Administrator and Chief of Naval Staff Ibok-Ete Ibas, former Interior Minister and ex-Chief of Army Staff Abdulrahman Dambazau, and former Presidential Aide Itainan and ex-Imo First Lady Chioma Ohaikim. Now, this comes days after the President submitted 32 ambassadorial names, including former INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, former Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and ex-presidential aide Reno Omokri.
The appointment of 68 ambassadors designate, comprising 34 career diplomats and 31 non-career nominees, alongside 3 earlier nominees already cleared by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, reflects a spread across all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with several former governors, senators, retired military officers, and notable civil servants. Now, join us this morning for this very important discussion is researcher and international journalist Adeni Kunu. Good morning to you, Mr. Kunu, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
That's great.
Good morning. What do you make of this new expanded list? Because when the first list came out, lots of analysts termed it a political IOU list, that it seems the president was compensating political associates and friends and allies. What do you make of this expanded list that has a little bit more career diplomats, and then you also have a spread across all 36 states. Do you think the names here are competent enough to carry out Nigeria's foreign policy objectives in whatever stations they're posted to across the world?
Well, first of all, let's make certain things clear that non-career ambassadors and career ambassadors would always have the opportunity to be part of those that serve the country. And these things are needed. And the kind of list that the president has out is not something that we'll talk about from the angle of maybe, this list was put together because of this or that. Now, we have to look at the situation that preceded this list. I've had the privilege to tell people who care to listen that do not forget that we didn't have anybody talking about any list until the United States had some kind of very serious discussions about the security situation in the country. And I'm saying it here for those who don't understand to know that part of the conditions given to the president of the country was that you do not even have those that are speaking on your behalf, and you continue to get the image of the country on the gutters. So the list came out. Now, talking about what the list contains is another thing entirely. You see the wife of an Igbo, politician being there. You see some other people that people are actually saying, are these people capable of doing anything? Yes. I'd like to remind them that we have to consider the likes of Bianca Ojukwu, who was never in that position up until the time that he had the privilege of being appointed and has demonstrated her capacity up until the time she's been appointed right now in the current capacity that she has found herself. But another thing would be that the people whose names are out should have portfolio attached to it. That is the position that I occupy. You cannot continue to churn out names. There has to be an attachment to the names, the respective countries and their responsibilities. Now, do not forget that these names will still be screened by the lawmakers of this great country. And I've mentioned to those who care to listen that thorough screening is enabled by having an understanding of the portfolio of these people. Fani Kayode, Macedonia or Luxembourg, Fani Kayode, Ghana or Senegal. Now, when there is a country attached to the name of such persons, when the person goes before the Senate, we could ask specific questions in terms of the foreign policy of the country with that particular person that is to go to the country, to have an understanding of at least the person's capacity to mitigate issues and to actually ensure that the social fabric of the country is well laundered and that lots of other things that before now have not been put right are actually corrected. So that is the position I occupy. And I sincerely want to recommend that these should be an instruction given, even by the Senate, that we do not just want names, we want their respective locations or destinations attached to it so that we can have thorough screening. You saw what happened when General Musa was being screened, and somebody was asking a question regarding, I believe he understands that the position of a chief of defense staff is different from the position of what? A minister of defense. And you heard the response that Akpabio gave, that no, he doesn't understand, they should go and teach him. I've never experienced such. And let me also remind us here that when they do screenings in my part of the world where I'm speaking from, one person could take hours of thorough engagement regarding the assignment before the person. So we should stop this wishy-washy screening that is giving room to by the fact that the president has not done what I expect him to complete to do. You have a name, fantastic. But what about the offices? What about the countries? What about the consular areas? What about the locations? With that done, then we can set our foot on the right path of getting this thing taken care of.
All right, you've spoken extensively on this issue, looking at it from the aspect of how the processes have come. But I want us to track back a little. Do you think that these nominees, do you think they're being rushed? Especially looking at the fact that the United States had decided to beam its searchlight on Nigeria's insecurity, and noting that we do not have any form of diplomacy in terms of representatives or envoy in ambassadors in all of these countries, in particular the United States. So do you think it was a case of, oh, you know what, let's start bringing out names, and these names were rushed, therefore it took longer, or a short time rather, to scrutinize these names? Because the names we're seeing is starting to look like, okay, let's just try and fill up the lists and fill up the spots. What do you think?
Let me say here, and use your words, that it is very evident that these lists have been rushed. You cannot take that away from us at this moment. And this list was rushed because President Bola Tinubu, in his usual manner, believes that everything has to be done with a consciousness of, trying to do permutation of politics, instead of understanding that foreign policy is a huge ingredient, especially for a country that Nigeria is, and the fact that we are the most populous black nation on earth. So it tells you that a complete lack of knowledge about the importance of foreign policy direction, about the importance of our international connections and global impact, about the importance of Nigerians who are in diaspora and many people who come back and forth the diaspora. These things are very key to how we are perceived, to the impression we create, to the attraction for foreign direct investment, to the mitigation of problems. The president and his cohorts have demonstrated a complete lack of understanding of the fact that we're talking about Nigeria. Then Nigeria doesn't have an ambassador in a country that is called the United States of America, on arguably Nigeria's biggest partner. If you check, sir, the amount that was remitted from the United States of America just for the 2024 calendar, you'll be shocked. It tells you that there are people here who have something worth the while doing, and they continue to pour into the country. You do not even understand why this country doesn't even have an ambassador to the United Kingdom. That country colonized Nigeria. And for anything not to go out of hand, we need somebody's feet in the United Kingdom to ensure that there's proper representation. If you look at France, the place that this president has visited the most since he came to power, no ambassador. It's a complete lack of knowledge, a poor demonstration of capacity by President Bola Tinubu not to have allowed this country have somebody that is representing us. And if you look at it, for everything that happens back home, for every insurgency, for every kidnapping, for every banditry, there is nobody speaking abroad. I'm here, and I sample opinions when I go to places, especially when I get within formal circles. You need to listen to some of the things being said about this beautiful country called Nigeria, just because a president doesn't have knowledge of what it means to have an ambassador. We're talking about divesting the economy. We've been talking about foreign direct investment. It is not possible for any country to actually have a very smooth foreign direct investment direction if there's no ambassador. Your ambassador that represents you is the one that will meet with the business community in that country.
Absolutely.
That he or she is. Yes, please. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adeni Kunu. We'll go on a quick break, a very short break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation. So much to unpack with regards to the new ambassadorial list sent to the Senate for confirmation. Do stay with us. New Central Breakfast Central returns shortly. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently discussing Nigeria's international diplomacy following appointment of ambassadors. The list has been sent to the Senate for confirmation, and joining us to do this is Mr. Adini Kunu, researcher and international journalist. Now, Mr. Kunu, looking at Nigeria in the global scheme of things, because before we went on that break, you talked about the missed opportunities we've missed in the last 2 years, and how it is an anomaly that 2 years into an administration, you don't even have ambassadors in Washington, in London, in Paris, in some of these big capitals with some of your biggest trade partners. Having said that, and seen this list, you also mentioned the fact that they should stop sending lists to the Senate without attaching portfolios. And we also discussed this yesterday. For ministerial list or ambassadors, they should attach their countries of mission. So the questioning, like what we saw with General Christopher Musa, would be more specific and towards their mission. Now, my question to you is, looking at the current world as we live in a multipolar world, what sort of foreign policy thrust should Nigeria be chasing with regards to its relationship with countries? Should we remain non-aligned, or we should pitch our tents with the BRICS and Russians, or we should remain pro-Western? I think your device is muted.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, officially, the country's first language is actually English. The country's second official language is French. We know that in this country we have Confucius Institute, you do the language unit, department or faculty or institution that is from the Chinese government in many of our universities. That tells you that the global community we have cannot move as it should without inclusion of the Asian hegemony, which is China. We have to admit that. But let us understand that essentially our philosophies can be renegotiated with our Western neighbors. You know, I have done an examination of China's direction. While China tells you that it is not interested in the person who actually occupies power position, China cannot be interested in a country's economy and not be interested in the stability of their economy. That's a dangerous policy direction for the country, because you cannot talk about a country that at times want to take your assets because of certain defaults and loans, and that country just feels, who cares about who leads them? A country that you are aligned with should also be able to discuss what is the future of our investment in your country by ensuring that the process of leadership is proper, and the process of allowing people come into office is also important. So the policy thrust of the country should, at this point, have a lot to do with what is the security aligning of Nigeria with Western ideology, with Western inkling, with Western posture, because it is very obvious that there's hypocrisy within the hallway of security in this country. It is obvious that this country needs a policy direction with those that are partners that have zero tolerance when you're talking about what insurgents have been doing, and consider the kind of direction that we have and the kind of thing emanating from many leaders of the North. I do not think that Nigeria should put all of its egg in the Chinese basket, because China seems to be in another direction regarding that. So we cannot align with a country at this point that cares less about security, but is important to the country to have access to our wealth. That is one thing we should understand. Then another thing has to do with the economy. We've been talking recently about the need to divest the economy, about the need to allow for foreign direct investment. Any country we align with should be a country that is not just interested in our resources, but a country that also will allow us to exhaust the value chain of the things we have. Let's look at crude. We should not just be comfortable allowing crude to be taken out. We should not just be comfortable allowing platinum that we have in commercial quantity, like South Africa, that we have in commercial quantity as well, gold. We should ensure that the entire value chain of these particular global commodities are things that we actually have a measure of control over. So any kind of policy we have that doesn't allow us to be able to speak directly, to have our feet down in terms of security, any policy direction or partnership we have that won't allow this country totally eliminate the people that are non-state actors. This country has a policy direction that to me is ineffective basically, because how can you have over 400 names given to you, and between the last 4 years, 2 presidents have not been able to get to the list and talk about the people that are sponsoring terrorism? Any policy direction that doesn't request that the president makes open those that have been killing the country is not a healthy policy direction. If you're talking about economy, in recent times, they've been arresting lots of Chinese, not Americans, not the United Kingdom people. They've been arresting a lot of Chinese, mining our solid minerals illegally. You don't take your policy direction in that direction. I have lived at some point in Nasarawa State, and I know what the Chinese people did in Nasarawa State of Nigeria, and now they really kept taking things out undocumented, unmonitored. I'm not just speaking what I was told. I was there at the time. So I'm simply saying that perhaps with the presence of those that will eventually occupy certain offices when the names and the portfolios get put together, we have to align properly and renegotiate our relationship with our Western powers. Yes, you cannot do much without China these days, but I am still wary of the Belt and Silk Road initiative of China that really doesn't allow a lot of countries to take the lead. I don't want a situation when you are aligning with China in terms of your foreign policy, and you see Chinese people occupying our train station, occupying maybe certain places. No, we can't afford that. We take the lead. The negotiations in terms of our foreign policy with the Eastern giants should actually be negotiated in such that, yes, whatever we are doing with them, we also lead in certain areas. Then don't forget, we're talking about technology transfer. We're talking about knowledge transfer. In recent times, the US has been talking about deploying technology to do a lot in terms of supply of medicines, supply of all of that. Yes, we may not have the capacity to fully exploit that, but we have to agree in any policy we have with them that within the next 5 years, policy must include knowledge and technological transfer. And that must also be considered from government as a very important step to take when we ensure that even on the home front, we train people that are ready to take charge. If you go to Ghana, for instance, that's one of the areas where they have succeeded. They ensure that the Chinese take second place, and everything the Chinese do, they ensure that they put the best of their hands there. We just don't allow these people run the show. We have to ensure that as they are trying to do anything they want to do, we are there with them and have a full knowledge of the things we are doing. It is in that direction that I believe that you have a strengthened policy in terms of a foreign alignment. If we do this to a great extent, and we get serious with it, and we don't say it is business as usual, I believe within the next 5-10 years, we'll be able to have people reckon with us properly, because that aspect of technology transfer, that aspect of not being robbed of our resources is something that is fundamental, and this should be incorporated very seriously into our foreign alignment space.
As we look forward to wrap up this conversation, I want us to focus on some of the personalities. I know we haven't talked about that in the course of this conversation.
Yes, please.
The personalities have raised eyebrows. People are wondering why. I mean, it takes us back to the former late President Muhammadu Buhari, who had appointed a former Chief of Army Staff, General Buratai, as an ambassador, and he resumed in Benin Republic. We're starting to see a similar play out in the appointment of the INEC chair, who had just left office. And just yesterday, the River State man who had gone there during the period the governor was not on seat. I'm talking about Ibas. He's also been appointed as well. He was also a former ambassador. Yes, a former ambassador as well, but he's also been appointed to a role. What do you make of the personalities that make up these appointments? Does it tell that Nigeria is bereft of of people who can also represent the country without being in the political space? And basically, just share your thoughts on the personalities.
All right, thank you. Let me put it within this context. There used to be a time when we talk about when people get into office, when people are doing things that relates to connecting with public, we consider variables. We never used to consider perception index as one of the yardsticks to measure acceptance of whatever it is that's been done. But this administration doesn't understand that perception index is a very strong part of the measuring yardstick of anything that we do. Don't forget this kind of perception that the president appears to not be taking cognizance of is also adding to the acceptance of his leadership or not, and how people look at things. If you check why people are complaining, the swiftness with which the Senate supported the takeover of the River State government is something that I've not seen in contemporary politics, and Nigeria was able to achieve that. Just the same way they were able to remove the national anthem that we all know and give us the national anthem that was before that. The speed with which they move, especially this particular 10th assembly, must be miraculous and actually worthy of all encyclopedia documentation. So that itself has affected how people perceive them. If you talk about the insecurity across the country, you would have expected that in some places, the president would have even declared a state of emergency. What happened in Rivers was less, but that wasn't declared. So it tells you that there's something about the perception of a man being rewarded for doing the bidding of his master, and that is the person that was the former military administrator of Rivers State. That being said, you also mentioned another person. I'm trying to remember whose name you called now, but I'm simply telling you that apart from the Rivers State person, okay, you talked about
Professor Mahmoud
Yakubu. That's also another person that, to me, as a matter of fact, if I did a comparative analysis of Yakub Mahmoud and I also look at Ibok-Ete, if you do a comparative analysis of individual capacities away from maybe their political appointments before now, I have to say that Yakub Mahmoud is a highly cerebral person. The issues with election affected the perception of the man, but the reality is, as a person, he has the knowledge and the intellectual stamina to represent Nigeria or to actually take up the responsibility of being an ambassador, because that, to me, I have measured. But in terms of Ibok-Ete, I have my reservation. And don't forget also that there were lots of things that made the rounds as of the time that former President Muhammadu Buhari appointed his former service chiefs to actually go to places in Africa and actually occupy positions of ambassadors. People said he did that for them to avoid or to be kept away from prosecution or to examine the things that they did while in office. I'm simply putting it to you here that this administration must understand that while we know that it's a global practice that non-career ambassadors form part of those that occupy ambassadorial lists, is not a practice that is only here.
Okay.
The perception is very fundamental towards the acceptance, and competence is also a very important factor in making such decisions.
Okay, Mr. Adeniyi, thank you so much. We're out of time, but I'm sure this is a conversation that will continue to develop and we'll continue to look into it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for joining us.
Have a great day.
Yeah. I appreciate the privilege. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll bring to you breakfast headlines. Stay with us. The stories definitely look like this morning on breakfast headlines. Let's start first with news that President Bola Tinubu has sworn in the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, retired General Christopher Musa, as the new Minister of Defense. General Musa took the oath of office on Thursday at the State House, Abuja. His swearing-in comes after the Senate on Wednesday confirmed his nomination to the role by the President. General Musa vows to set up a full-scale investigation into attacks across the country, as well as the killing of Brigade Commander, that's Brigadier General Musa Uba in Borno State, along with other attacks on senior military officers. Top military officials have expressed confidence in ongoing efforts to restore peace across Nigeria. Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kuka, says the country's security challenges are well understood, insisting that restoring normalcy must remain the top priority. He noted that President Bola Tinubu has shown clear determination to reposition Nigeria's security architecture, describing the efforts as being in very good hands. Meanwhile, newly sworn-in Minister of Defense Christopher Musa says Nigeria's expectations are huge.
Nigerians will see results. I want to use this medium to appreciate all Nigerians. Nigerians have shown me love, and I will guarantee them that I am going to work whatever it takes to ensure that Nigeria is secured. Yes, I just met Mr. President, and he reiterated his mind on the aspect that we must make sure that Nigeria is secured. Nigerians should go back and sleep with their eyes closed, go back to their farms, schools open without being molested, everyone being carried together to make sure that Nigeria continues to grow in line with the renewed program of the Mr. President.
We just need restoration of normalcy in this country by any means possible. And I think that this job is in very good hands. It does seem very clearly that the president wants to reposition the issues of security, and I think the situation is in very good hands. We are on all fours as far as that is concerned. Look, rain, thunder, sunshine, whatever it takes to get this mess under control. These guys need to be flushed out. Normalcy needs to return to our country. Laughter and joy has to come back to Nigeria within the shortest time possible.
List of the ambassadorial nominees has continued to swell as President Bola Tinubu has sent more names to the Senate. Among the fresh 34 names forwarded is Ibok-Ete Ibas, the immediate past sole administrator of Rivers State and the former chief of naval staff. The list also includes former Senator Ita Enang, former Imo State First Lady Choma Ohakim, and former Minister of Interior and ex-Army Chief Abdulrahman Dambazau. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read the president's correspondence during Thursday's plenary, where Tinubu appealed for swift legislative action to enable the government fill key diplomatic postings. Earlier, a renowned professor of political science and former National Electoral Commissioner Adele Jinadu joined us in the news. Now here are his thoughts on the new ambassadors list. We'll bring you his thoughts in our subsequent news bulletin. We apologize for that, but let's move on now to another story. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has upheld a federal high court ruling that bars the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, popularly known as VIO, from stopping or impounding vehicles and imposing fines on motorists. A three-member appellate panel dismissed the VIO's appeal in a unanimous judgment, with Justice Oyejoju Oyewumi declaring the case without merit. The court also awarded 1 million naira in costs against the VIO and in favor of rights activist and public interest lawyer Abubakar Bashal, who brought the original suit. Marshall had told the court that VIO officials wrongfully stopped and confiscated his vehicle in Abuja's Jabi district in December 2023, violating his fundamental rights. The earlier judgment by Justice Mahar, now affirmed, restrains the VIO and its agents from impounding vehicles or imposing fines on motorists, describing such actions as unlawful and oppressive. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, has threatened to take action against companies that have failed to review the wages of its members, despite the rising cost of living and impact of currency devaluation. President of PENGASSAN, Festus Osifo, while addressing journalists after the union's final National Executive Council meeting for the year 2025, says that employers must urgently adjust wages or brace for intense action from the union.
Today, in a lot of companies, we have achieved successes, but there are still few that we are still discussing their CBAs, that we are not yet there. We wish to use this opportunity to call on these companies that are still foot dragging, that are still holding back. even with the massive devaluation that has occurred in our country, that still don't want to fix the remuneration of our members. We are calling on them to do the needful. Because for us in PENGASSAN, we will push without holding back. We will push using everything in our arsenal to ensure that the needful is done. The government, both at the federal, at the state, and at the local level, should do everything possible to curb this menace. We have heard severally when they tell us that they know the sponsors of these terrorists. The question is that, where are the sponsors? Why haven't you named these sponsors? Why haven't you exposed these sponsors? Why haven't you go after them? Take them to the lockout and get them convicted to serve as deterrents to others.
The UN Human Rights Chief has warned that he feared another wave of atrocities in Sudan as fierce clashes escalate across the Kordofan region involving the Sudanese Armed Forces, Rapid Support Forces and Sudan's People's Liberation Movement North. Volker Turk said in a statement on Thursday that the UN Human Rights Office has documented at least 269 civilian deaths from aerial strikes, artillery shelling and summary execution since October 25, when the RSF captured Bara city in North Kordofan, with telecommunications and internet outages hampering reporting. The true toll is likely far higher. According to the statement, the office has also received reports of retaliatory killings, arbitrary detention, abductions, sexual violence and forced recruitment, including of children. And that's all we have for you here for the news on Breakfast Headlines. Don't forget to join us at 12, where you can get a fuller news bulletin with Blessings Mosugu on the 12 report. In the meantime, stick around. The front pages of the newspapers is up next.
Hello, welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's time to find out what big stories are making the headlines today. And joining us virtually live from our Abuja studios, our spanking brand new Abuja studios, as public affairs analyst and journalist Dotun Ojon. One welcome to you, Dotun. And how's Abuja this morning?
Fantastic. I may have to just be coming to Abuja every Friday to do my beats, and it's just so beautiful right here.
Yeah, we can see it looks very good on you. Abuja looks good on you.
Mr. John, you have to watch what you say. If not, we'll bar you from coming to Lagos studios.
We can dig deeper, but let's get straight to the newspapers. Let's start off with the Nigerian Tribune. The headline says, Ribadu Musa Kuka upbeat about end to terrorism. The writer says terrorism and banditry to end soon, says the NSA. Nigerians can now sleep with eyes closed, says the newly appointed Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, retired. And defense portfolio now in very good hands, says Matthew Kuka. I think that's a good place to start. There seems to be a renewed sort of vigor in dealing with insecurity following that declaration of a state of emergency by Mr. President. And we've also seen a few movements, changing of service chiefs, appointment of a new defense minister. Mr. Ojon, what do you make of all of this? Is it time to, are you optimistic and as upbeat as the CDS, as Bishop Kuka, and as the National Security Advisor, who says banditry and terrorism will end soon? Do you share the same optimism?
Yeah, I'm extremely optimistic. And I've said it repeatedly that the fight against terror anywhere in the world is not a fight of deadline. It's a fight of consistency. And again, one of the things that we've seen that the political class in Nigeria lacks over the years is what I call commitment. And you know, last week we were talking about the principle of commitment. And I said to you that if Boko Haramists or bandits have access to what Nigeria has access to, they will have taken over the nation. How come we have access to all of these things, this hardware, this expertise, this kind of people and we are unable to crush it. That's the question of commitment. But with the new vigor in town, with the fact that somebody has seemingly spanked the government at the back of, what do you want me to say? And I'm extremely optimistic that with what they are doing now, we are going to get it right. I've never had issues with the ability of Nigeria to be able to defeat terrorism. The issue has always been that government comes, and I told you that political will is bigger than any expertise. So when there's no political will, from political will, we talk about body language, from political will, you can see budgetary provision, from political will, you can see the focus of government and all of these things put together. So if the political will is not there, you will not be able to achieve results. It doesn't matter whether you're fighting against malaria or you're fighting against terrorism. But with this new commitment, I'm extremely hopeful that we'll get to a point where we will know that at least we've been able to defeat these people. And the subject of security requires a lot of forward thinking, because now hardly can you get to any zone in Nigeria where you will not have a general that does not belong to the army. So as we are fighting terrorism, we must also be strategic to plan for the future, so that when we defeat terrorism in the real sense of it, we will not have some other smaller groups to actually contend with. So it's a fight of strategy, it's a fight of commitment, it's a fight of consistency. And I think that from now we'll begin to see a whole lot of changes. And we will also continue to talk to the government to direct them on the right path. And we believe that beyond the 2027 election that everybody is running after now, we will have something to smile about at the end of the day.
Something to smile about, you say. But let's go back to the front page of that Nigerian Tribune, the newspaper we're looking at. There's another story I'd like you to touch on. Tinubu names Ibas, Dambazau, Sule Gambari, Enang as ambassadors, increases nominees to 68 and seeks Senate confirmation ASAP. What's your take on the return of Ibas, especially after what just happened in River State?
It seems double return.
It seems to make
envoy to Ghana, and also sole administrator in River State, and also former chief of naval staff. He seems to be a favorite of the government.
Yeah, so one of the things that people shy away from politics, and you know I've been in the field before, is the aspect of compensation. Nobody wants to talk about it, but that's the reality about politics. You are just not going to... there was a governor being accused by EFCC, I think in 2004, of giving contracts to his friend. And his response was hilarious, but extremely meaningful. He said, do you want me to give contract to my enemies? So the real sense of it, the art of politicking as we know it, is about what have you done for me? And the best way to compensate you on anything you've done for the government is actually to have political appointments. So I'm not expecting that the government or the federal government will pick people from other countries, from Mars, from all other planets to come and be their ambassador. They are just going to pick from the people that are in their political class. But again, this has been the emphasis. This is my little problem with our own kind of politicking. Winners take all, where you have to continue to look within your political party, where you have to begin to look within your political associate, and you look away from people who you really do know have expertise to be able to solve some of our major problems. I'm not disappointed in the list. That's exactly what I'm expecting. Seeing Ibas was a bit unsettling for me, because you remember we talked about the issue. The only issue I have with him has been the issue of the budget he presented to the National Assembly. And he has also come out to say that, oh, they didn't give him relevant information. But the budget is the destiny direction of any state or nation. So you cannot put a project of 1 million for 10 billion and you will earn my respect. That's the only thing. Beyond that, I think it's political compensation, and those who are in the political room should actually taste from the political bread.
Okay, talking about tasting from the political bread and stew, the women are not left out. We've seen 3 former first ladies make this list. There's Lady Ohakim, Choma Ohakim. There's also Florence Ajimobi, and I believe there's one more, if I'm not mistaken. You rightly said it, that you're not going to appoint your enemies, but do these people have capacity to represent Nigeria in their various foreign missions? And also, do you think the names of the countries that they're designated to should have been attached so that the Senate can do a more thorough job in screening?
You know,
But hold your thoughts for a second, Mr. Dr. John. We have Tony Eze on the line from Benue State who wants to chime in and contribute to our discussion this morning. Hello, good morning, Mr. Eze.
Good morning.
All right.
I want to Minister, Minister of Defense. I think we should allow this man to work. Praising him while he has not worked is not the best thing. Let us allow him to work. In America, it is after action, people begin to talk about it. But in Nigeria, the moment person is given a position, people will be praising, and at the end, the person will fumble. Let us allow him to work. We are in problem, especially in the Benue where I am. People can't come out because it is 7 p.m.
Mr. Eze there. But I mean, he has a point. The way they've been praising him, you think the terrorism has ended.
Even the terrorists put out a video. They were actually praising his appointment. I don't know if you
people say it was a headsman and they just painted him as a bandit.
That's what they said. Allegedly, though.
Yeah,
allegedly.
But Mr. Dr. Ojo, back to the political bread and stew. We have Mrs. Ajimobi, Mrs. Ohakim, and Mrs. Adebayo, former first ladies of states in Nigeria. Is he also part of paddy government, or their turn to eat in the political bread and stew, or the appointment was made fairly and squarely on competence and what they bring to the fore?
Okay, so I'm a bit uncomfortable with the stew that you're trying to add to my bread, because you remember what happened in Osun State some years back when the school feeding program, the government has given the contract that they should go and continue to feed the kids in school. But at the end of the day, what they were serving the kids were just loaf of bread with stew in it. So when I hear bread and stew, I become extremely uncomfortable. Okay. That's by the way. Now, you know, we had this conversation some years back, yes, I think last year, about the need for the executive or for the president to always put the ministry, if you're sending the name of ministerial nominees to the Senate, to the National Assembly, we had that conversation, and I don't know whether that has changed now. So I think it will have given them an opportunity to drill with direction. When you're drilling people with direction, you get the best out of them, because most often when you drill people without direction, you are not able to actually get whether they have the capacity to do some certain things or not. Usually, one man cannot know everything, and one man cannot know the philosophy of every nation and the policy direction of every country. So it will have been beautiful if we have the name attached to it. And coming to talk about women that are involved, I've seen the women that are involved, and all of them are professionals in their own right. Professionals in their own right. So I believe they have the capacity. But if the question is, is it a party kind of government? The truth is that with what we have now, we'll still continue to pick people politically from the room. So I think it's an extension of what their husband has done, the involvement of their husband, or the contribution of their husband, or even in some cases themselves into the government. So we expect that Nigeria will not be doomed to the point that we will not have great people to represent us. And I want to just give them the benefit of the doubt this morning that they will be able to represent Nigeria very, very well. From the appointment of the new Minister of Defense, you have seen that virtually everyone wants this country to succeed, because people were happy, not because he has done anything. But I told you that in the concept of governance, one thing that has become a problem in Nigeria over the years is that people don't believe in their government. So if we have an appointment that people believe in, we can only be hopeful that this belief will lead to ability for the government to be able to rally the people around to fight terrorism. I've said it before, in philosophy, the 10% principle is in the fact that there will always be 10% of people in every community that want to take to crime. It is the duty of government to rally the remaining 90% against this 10%. But if the remaining 90% does not believe in the effort of government, there's no way the government can rally them. So we are seeing belief, we are seeing faith. And I believe that this set of people will also be able to go out there and represent Nigeria and clear all of this baggage of names that we have, of wrong name that we have, of Nigerians not behaving well, even when we have thousands and millions of Nigerians making exploits across the globe. So I believe something good is going to come out from the list.
All right, let's look at another newspaper very quickly. We've spent much time on Nigerian Tribune. Let's move on to another newspaper. Let's look at The Punch this time. Big diplomatic overall. Tinubu 65 envoy picks brace for Senate storm. 65, wow. If General Musa could spend 3 hours plus, I wonder how many hours will be spent on 65 of the envoy. Anyway,
they've not been giving portfolios, so
yes, that will be tougher.
It'll reduce the time.
Ex-Rivers administrator, 30 politicians, others make lists, Senate to screen lists in 1 week. Okay, yeah, 3 times, maybe 6 times 7. You do the calculation, do the math. Immigration CG visits Kebbi, vows justice after checkpoint attack. Federal government sets December 20 deadline to pay contractors. VIO heads to Supreme Court after losing vehicle impoundment appeal. Let's take that, Mr. Dr. John. I'm sure you've been in the eye of the storm with VIO either once or twice, or maybe in a lifetime or never, but you've heard the stories. And part of it is that the court has granted a lawyer and a public advocate or speaker who actually dragged them to court for impounding his vehicle in 2023. And the court says VIO does not have the right to impound vehicles and so on and so forth. So it's much more like a victory. But the VIO is saying, listen, we know we've lost this case here. The appellate court, we're going straight to the Supreme Court now to get the final verdict. But before you answer concerning the VIO, let's go to Ibok-Ete. We have a caller who's on the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Uche. Please go ahead and pick a story and touch on it very quickly.
Thank you for having me. The issue of a new Minister of Defense. Please, my plea is that the man will succeed. But let EFCC and ICPC help him to succeed. Let them look into all the account of generals in the army, those that are still serving, and the junior ones. Let them look into the account. Those that cannot explain the amount they have in the account, let EFCC grill them, because sabotage is going to come from there. If the man is serious to succeed, those people that cannot explain their wealth will sabotage the man. That is my own opinion and suggestion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your talk. All right, Mr. Dr. John, let's go straight to the VIO story.
I was driving into Lagos, and because on my driver's license I have my permanent address in Ondo State on it. So they parked me and they said, oh, I should bring out my paper. I did, and all of that. And immediately I brought out my driver's license. Immediately they cited the address and they saw Ondo State. They said it's fake. I told them they said it's fake. Before I knew it, somebody jumped into my vehicle and they drove my vehicle away. My vehicle spent about a week there before we were able to pay for demurrage and all of that, paid an amount and all of that, and I went. So because I did the process, a lot of people know the kind of person I am. I went through the process. So I got to Ondo State. How can this same body give you fake driver's license? They checked through. They said, you went through the process. We gave you an original, this thing is actually an authentic driver's license. And since that time, I have developed this internal grudge against the VIO. And I don't hide it. I've said it in fora. And I said it that you cannot be a prosecutor and a judge in your own matter. It's impossible. You remember, closely related to this is also another body in government that gives license to television and punish them and all of that. And the court is still sitting on their matter too. So in a democratic community, nobody can have the power to prosecute and to be a judge in his own case. So I believe that going to Supreme Court will actually lay this good precedence, because Nigerians, we just like to abuse power, and at every point in time, we point our hand to Aso Rock. But within our community, where we are supposed to do what is right, we never get to do it. And I understand the fact that some motorists can be extremely chaotic. I understand the fact that there's no reason why you should drive a vehicle that the number has expired. I understand all of these things, but once we call it democracy, it's about process. So you cannot jump the process to the product. What you will get will be a substandard product. So what VIO has been serving, in my opinion, is substandard product, because you cannot actually prosecute. You will arrest, you prosecute, you judge, you write fine. That is ridiculous. And I think it's something that should not continue.
Absolutely. And also, speaking about VIO, it would also be nice for them to, you know, focus on commercial vehicles and also cars that are not roadworthy, like some police cars.
Downfall buses.
Some police cars lack signals, they lack brake lights, they are not roadworthy. They should also stop and make sure that
they impound those vehicles.
And impound those vehicles. After all, we're all equal before the law.
Doctor wants to say something, though.
Yes.
Yes, like a vehicle is driving in front of you, you can see that this one does not even have, what do they call it, light, nothing. And they are leaving that vehicle to run after some private vehicle. And you're wondering that, see, in terms of percentage, in terms of safety, in terms of security on the road, the number of people in any community conveyed by public transport is more than the ones being conveyed by private vehicles. So when you want to talk about roadworthiness, you're talking about the security of life of the people. So your attention first should be on the commercial vehicle. So, but I don't know the miracle. I don't know the synergy between VIO and commercial vehicle. Maybe those ones are just above the law. Maybe there's some kind of communal meetings that go on behind the scene that we do not know. They never get to consider. It's even worse in Lagos. You see some of these, they are big vehicles, white, some of them white, some of them red color, and they drive and you're wondering, how are these vehicles conveying human beings? 20 sitting, 300 standing. Mm-hmm. And you look at them, they just drive, no stop sign. They don't have, what do they call, sign to trafficate, or what do they call those things. They don't have any of those things. And VIOs just look away to continue to run after vehicles. It's ridiculous. We cannot continue to ridicule our government institution in the way VIO has behaved over the years. And this is a truth that has to be said. My friend was going, let me wrap up with this story. He was driving to, I think, Ilupeju area of Lagos. So they stopped him and he told them that, oh, my paper just expired today. So I am actually going to your office to fix it. They impounded the vehicle. At the end of the day, they collected something from him and he left. They never knew he was going to tweet at the former governor of Lagos. So he actually sent a tweet at him. He was with me when the VIO man was calling. I was saying it to Yoruba, do you want to send me away from my job? Do you want to send me away from my job? This has been the practice over the years. When we talk about corruption, our attention should just shift a bit from governmental corruption to minor civil service kind of corruption, private sector kind of corruption that is giving Nigeria a bad name. Like I said, this is going to Supreme Court to be tested. And at the end of the day, I think the right thing will be done at the Apex Court.
Well, we look forward to wrap up this conversation because Sam Dandy is around the corner to bring to us the entertainment update. But let's wrap things up. Let's go to our final paper, Daily Independent. Very quickly, just one story there. We'd like to take your views on that. Reps suspend consideration of constitutional amendment bills. Appeal Court affirms VIO's current in power. We've talked about that. I'll do whatever it takes to secure Nigeria, General Musa says. But there's a big one here. Tinubu has started 2027 campaign while citizens languish in captivity. ADC shouts. I don't know if you've seen those picture.
As a follow-up on that, at the bottom, Obi slams Tinubu over campaign vehicles, says it's profoundly insensitive.
Let's see the videos. Let's show you some clips of the videos, Dr. John, if you haven't seen them. The videos have been circulating online. It's brought back again. These vehicles are not in any way cheap.
Brand
they are
new
expensive
vehicles.
I mean, that's why we started the show.
And Prado SUVs.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you make of this?
Now I understand
that's Eagle Square in Abuja, by the way.
Now I understand why you were suspicious of me being in Abuja this morning.
Yes, well, I just wonder if you're an ambassador, we don't know.
I'm not here to get my own vehicle, but truth be told, one of the major issues we have in Nigeria is that we, the people, have not understood the pattern of politicking. First, 2 years into any administration, either at state level or at federal level, governance seems to be on suspension. Now, the only way to pay people who get elected into office and they suspend governance is on the day of election. But you know what happens? Our own brain seems to go on recess on the day of election until we have elected the wrong set of people into office. It is then we seem to press a reset. So when people behave in this certain way, we must not show our helplessness. We are what makes democracy tick. So if Nigerians are tired of this pattern, number one, some politicians, and I take responsibility for this, we directly or indirectly introduce insecurity 2 years into one administration. 2 years into one administration, politicking will send governors on holiday. We cannot continue this pattern. And I think it's high time we told those who need to listen that we elect people for a 4-year tenure, and you must at least give us 3.5 years of those tenure of good governance. So I don't have problem if you are campaigning and governance is not on recess. But if your politicking will affect the essence of your election, then I have to frown at that. And that's the only thing I have issues with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Onjo. Always a pleasure. And we looking forward to having you back in our Lagos studio. We don't want Abuja people to hijack you for now. So, thank you very much and enjoy your weekend.
Enjoy yourself.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're watching Breakfast Central. We're going on a quick break, and when we return, there's so much to cover as we are in the Dirty December month. We'll bring you entertainment update with one of the best to ever do it, Samuel Ojo, aka Sam Dandy. Stick around.
Two-Face or Two-Baba is making the headlines, hugging it like he would never leave it alone. Just like when you hug your mother or loved one, or better still, your partner when the weather is cold. P.S. for those who are married, by the way. Sam Dandy is here live to bring us the latest stories. What's going on? Or let's switch to gear by saying Wagwan.
Always great to have
Wagwan,
you.
Wagwan.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to be here. When he said hugging, I thought he was going to say transformer.
No. We don't want.
And I like that you put the caveat for only those that are married.
Yeah.
And it's great that all three of us can engage.
Yeah, man.
That is true.
You know,
there's a matured audience.
I love it.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, we're ready. Go on.
Well, the Dibia family has formally petitioned the Nigerian police force accusing Natasha Osawaru of multiple serious offenses, including physical assault, bigamy, and financial misappropriation. Now, they claim that Natasha allegedly transferred funds from Tubaba's bank accounts without authorization, seized his passport and other documents, and prevented him from fulfilling his business commitments. The petition also notes earlier alleged incidents in the UK and Abuja and urges a thorough investigation of both marital status and financial matters.
I mean, this is serious. The man in the question has said they should cease fire, that there's no issue. In that video that is playing in the background. So this is a case of taking Panadol for another man's head.
Is that what he said in the video?
Yeah, that's what he said in the video.
Let's watch the video.
Let's watch the video.
This is getting out of hand, and this is a dangerous situation right now. I know what fans can do. I know what people can do. I am perfectly okay. You understand what I'm saying? And this is putting Natasha at risk. It's not fair on anybody to do this kind of thing. It's not fair on anybody at all. So please, I need everybody to calm down. I need everybody to cease fire. We want to resolve all these issues. People, they get issue for house, maybe today. But this is getting out of hand. Please, friends, family, everybody, cease fire. Please, I beg you. I beg you.
Have people ceased fire? Not exactly.
The man in the eye of the storm is saying ceasefire. Don't the family have better things to do by engaging? Nigerian police is already facing bandits and terrorists. Should they wade into this, or do you think the family has a right to protect? As a young wise man,
to be honest, at this point, the Tubaba news is just interesting. I mean, Jesse Jacks, the rapper, came out.
I saw that.
Even that.
Okay, though.
It's. From judging by that video, his state of mind, I question.
No, I don't think it was okay.
I definitely question.
What do you make as a convener of dear men of all these things that are happening?
Men won't talk.
And as an experienced man in marriage.
Calm down.
You know, you're the most senior married man. No, I'm just reeling out your CV so people will know that
it is true.
What you say is, it carries weight.
But what we see here, there's a lot going on, and the decision lies with him. He decides what to do. If he needs help, I mean, he put out a tweet there, said, please help me or something.
Yes, he did.
And then
quickly deleted it. I don't know.
There's a lot going on. And to be honest, if you ask me, I'll just say seek help.
Is it beyond family matters?
Seek help.
Whatever it is.
He needs to seek help.
See somebody, a therapist.
Yeah,
maybe.
Seek help.
Let's move from that one. In response to the tragic mass shooting at a children's birthday party in Stockton, California, Burna Boy has pledged to fully cover the funeral expenses for the 4 young victims aged between 8 and 21. Moved by the story, he reached out to industry contacts and city officials to offer support, calling the tragedy heartbreaking and emphasizing that no family should ever face this kind of pain alone. Now, his gesture has received some praise, while others have called the passionate act of solidarity a strategy to tackle his recent concert controversy. I don't know why Nigerians are like this. I, for one, thought, you know what? This is a good gesture, You
want to know my response to this?
Go ahead.
I'm going to use body language to describe my response. This is it.
Wow. I mean,
what?
Burna isn't new to philanthropy, honestly. We've seen, of course, how he does that.
How many has he done here?
How many? He said charity starts at home.
But he does that a lot, paid a lot of medical bills, over 300 people. He's been doing that.
But why in America this time?
Why now?
But I said,
is it linked to his lack of sales of tickets?
Is that really true? Because recently his last show
despite adding coffee,
to have
free coffee to the bill, it still didn't catch.
But I did say this. Burna has always come out a lot of times to stand for Nigerians. I mean, Burna literally had a song 2010-20 during the NSAS protest. So I feel like he's someone who would use music to talk about the things that upset him.
But he said he stopped, that he wishes he wasn't a Nigerian in a podcast, in an interview. He said sometimes
he can't change that. He's still Nigerian, and he does make a lot of money.
I have a question. I mean, let's assume that you're Burna Boy now, and I have a question. Who made Burna Boy?
Am I going to say Nigerians? I don't want to say Nigerians. Music lovers, right, around the world.
And the music lovers started from where? He would always take you back to Port Harcourt.
His reference.
True.
He would take you to Port Harcourt from
influence,
from his song "Party" and all that. Like to Party, move it back down to the. Who gave him that Who gave him that push? From his record labels to his manager, Spaceship, name them. Who were the people who were there for him?
The things he sings about. His frame of mind, his reference.
Do you understand?
So Nigerian.
Well, is it wrong that he's contributing to a good cause out of Nigeria?
No, the timing is suspect.
But the timing is truly suspect.
I mean, he has bragged that Nigerians don't pay him a lot of money. And this is because our streaming numbers, of course, don't do as much compared to out of the world. So if he's making a lot of money in America and all these parts of the world, it's only fair that, hey, since you make so much, Burna be making over $1 million US per show. So, I mean,
I think perception is what his team needs to work on now. Perception. Either they want to build someone who lives the life of I don't care who you guys are. Right. Like that's what we see now.
Arrogance.
Like, I don't care who you guys are. So, they're like, you know what? Let's build a brand of an arrogant yet talented artist who doesn't care but still makes his wave, and so on. That's one way. Or let's build a brand of someone who is strong, is arrogant, but then again, he understands when to calm down and say, listen, guys, I'm sorry. But the second one is not happening yet. Because what we only saw was AI. People used AI to apologize
on his behalf
with his face. And the AI was saying, listen, I'm sorry. That wasn't Burna Boy. That wasn't him. you know.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's an Afrobeat style thing because I mean, Wizkid himself wouldn't come out to apologize or majorly say a lot of
why is everyone trying to be a Kanye West? Why can't you be an Emma Abaga? Have you seen Emma? He's very successful, but he doesn't go around, denigrating his supporters or making human beings feel bad about themselves. So
does Portable apologize?
Maybe he should apologize to Olamide, but we'll get to that story.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Let's talk about this one. Spotify 2025 Wrapped and Apple Music Nigeria's Replay both show Afrobeats' continued dominance at home and abroad. Both music platforms named Wizkid's Nigeria's most streamed artist for 2025, with his project Morayo topping the country's albums of 2025 list, followed by, of course, Davido's 5. We got Ben Singh, Burna Boy, Ashake. That's not all. OBO's collaboration With You, which is everyone's favorite, honestly, was the year's top song on Spotify Nigeria. And we got entries, of course, from Fido, because everyone really enjoyed Fido this year. Kumi's Arike, Fola, amongst others. Sabi Girl Ira Star led the female pack, followed by Songstress Thames, while Burna Boy led Spotify's most exported Nigerian artist list alongside Thames, Rema, Ira Star, and Omale. Now, the list, of course, is a mix of established highlight stars, to rising stars, and honestly, it's showing what Nigerians have listened to in their habits in 2025. Which of these songs are your faves this year?
Well, I think Barack Obama had dropped his own list as well, and you find the Nigerian Afrobeats there. Yeah, they did. I think Thames did fantastically well. Yeah. Wizkid, for me, hardly would he go wrong. He drops an album. One of the albums I wasn't really impressed with, I must be honest, was this album. Okay.
Olamide's?
I was
but
expecting.
it had 1 or 2 nice.
No, it did, but it's not like the regular Olamide album where you would expect like hits back to back. And to be honest, the street OT, in what I mean, for those who understand, we didn't feel much of the street OT there.
I mean, it's no longer the reception. It's no longer street, like, when money touches you,
Bro, Wizkid is no longer street, but then again, we can still feel some
maybe
form
it's in
of
the song
blend, But then again, it's fine. It's
and who's that on your screen?
That's
looking
the
like
gentleman
he's
now.
about to go for
he has a
GT Bank interview or any mentioning brand.
On this note, please take your last story so we move.
Portable is in the news. The internet, he's publicly claiming ownership of the hit song Zazuze, if you remember that one. A move that's opened, debates about authorship, credits, and this song had Olamide in it, and I feel like he's on a roll because over the past few days, he's come out to say he's helped more people in the industry than Don Jazzy, Olamide, Wizkid, Davido.
Which industry?
I don't know.
We don't have time. Move on. But we have to see the video or something just to wrap it up. I think we should.
We should.
Don't give all the stories so they can carry at 4. Let's just see a snippet of the video.
I'm a king, I'm a lion. Now I don't fear to walk alone. People who won't follow a castle, they know no road. Everyone see me, I'm a guest as well. I mean, I'm going to go out. I'm for me, if I see me or Ben, and me going to go. Say, I can't find anybody, he go post me. But I'm going to get a long time long. Everybody post me. President post me. Governor post me. Buyer post me. You want post me. You jump, you company me. Everybody company. Take me the best. I come business like I say.
Why so
I think it's joking.
Oh my goodness.
Provoke you, bro.
I think it's joking. I think sometimes when he's not, he just needs to trend or something. So it just
I hope it helps in music.
That has to be the only
That's the
sensible
only thing. You just look,
explanation.
what do we say? Let's just trend. We are shout.
Lion does not fear to walk alone.
But I like the feature he did with Beat Around the Bush. With what's his name? Magneto.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've not heard that. I need to listen to it.
It's a December track, a dirty December track.
Thanks.
Check it out.
I don't know if I'm a fan of Portable at all.
We need to have him on take 3 so you can analyze it.
I said, what if he bites someone's ear?
Let's have him on take 3.
Is he going to behave?
The only problem is you have to watch the camera.
And are you ready to go to Songo to pick him up?
No. California.
But we're looking forward to it.
That's all.
Thank you so much, Sandandi. I wish you could do this every day.
Join Sandandi.
It's quite unfortunate that it's only Fridays.
Join Sandandi and the rest of the team. Take 3 from 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock today. You get the juice, everything about Portable and the lights. On that note, we say thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast Central. All Levies on Levies officially
over.
And
thank you so much.
See you back to work on Monday.
Thank you so much for joining us.